Oh, Tennessee, your long Indianapolis nightmare is over. By winning, you snap an 11-game losing streak that you had to Andrew Luck and the Colts. Jacoby Brissett obviously in there at quarterback. First and goal from the 9. Play action. And ladies and gentlemen, we found a highlight where Jack Doyle caught the ball, which was a real problem for him last night. But nice play action here. Ryan, to freeze Brian Orakpo.
Hey, that's what you do. You put him in a situation where he has to make a decision on what to do. They got him beat there, and Dole actually caught the ball.
Right. Brissett 21 of 37, 212 yards in the score. Now, Marcus Mariota, Lewis, look, what his strength is running the read option, but because of that hamstring, he never moved from the pocket.
Yeah, he's continued to show the kind of growth that you want to see in a player who can make plays outside the pocket, and you just saw him develop a comfort in the pocket as the game wore on to where he hit his biggest throws in the most key moments late in the game.
However, it did stumble right out of the break in the second half. There's John Simon, who's actually been a really good player for the Colts. Returns at 26 yards. Mario would not let that pick six, though, keep him down. Mentally strong. What you were alluding to there, Ryan. Game tied, or rather, Lewis, game tied at 22, 1st and 10. Mariota, no hamstring problems there. Taywan Taylor right there, the 3rd-round pick for a 53-yard score. That's just beautiful.
Hey, that's a huge throw, but it also helps when you beat the safety in cover 2 with a great post-corner move.
You mean 6 yards of separation also helps? Just thinking. Mariota, 23 of 32, 306 yards, 1 touchdown to pick 6. The Titans snapped their 11-game losing streak to Indianapolis. Tennessee came in with a clear-cut plan to establish the run and utilize play action, and don't let Mariota run. He was 10 of 11 on play-action passes while throwing for a career-high 185, which included that 53-yard strike to Taywan Taylor, who, as Ryan alluded to, had busted the coverage. The Titans also limited Mariota's movement. Only 1 of his 32 attempts came from outside the pocket. So let's break this down and wait a minute. Whoa! When did you get here?
Yep,
Positive.
Positive.
It was such a good highlight. I was like, let me in. Positive.
Tim Hasselbeck is here. Tim, as the former quarterback on the desk, I'll start with you. What did you make of Mariota, especially when you knew he really couldn't do one of the things which is his strength, which is running the football?
I was really impressed. I think Lewis alluded to it. I mean, when you look at Tennessee's offense, what they do is they have designed quarterback runs, and then he scrambles on his own. And so to go into a game knowing you don't have the ability to use that, it takes discipline to not fall into it and re-injure your hamstring. And then it also shows you growth in that he was good from inside the pocket. And so I think that the Tennessee coaching staff and really just Titans fans in general should be thrilled that there was a game where this quarterback, who's a tremendous runner, was able to have a lot of success playing as if he had the running ability of somebody like Tom Brady. I mean, that's what he did, and he was successful with it.
Whoa. Are you impugning the running ability of Tom Brady?
I am.
Whoa, okay.
It's exactly what I'm doing. Negative in the house right there.
That's a really thin limb you're climbing out on.
He did run a forever, for sure. But, hey, straight up.
More importantly, for the big picture then, let's talk about this division. Titans, Jags, and Texans, all 3-3. A 3-way tie for first place. The Colts are just 1 game back at 2-4. Are we sold on Tennessee right now?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
By
the way, that's a fair answer.
Yeah, I'm not sold. I'm not. Listen, coming into the year, Tennessee was the trendy pick to win this division. Everybody was saying that Marcus Mariota was going to take that next step. And from what Tim saw last night and what we've seen from the highlights, he has taken a step to be a better pocket passer. But Lou talks about this each and every week when we mention the Tennessee Titans. They can't stop the big play. And last night you scored 35 points, so you have an opportunity to where that doesn't bite you in the butt. But when it gets down the line and when you're playing some of these better offenses, you're going to have to find ways to stop people because Marcus Mariota won't have guys running over like Taylor was last night each and every week coming down the stretch.
Yeah, in the passing game, you have to have one of two things. You either better have pass rush or you better have great cover corners that can help your pass rush in terms of giving them more time to get to the quarterback. And right now, the Titans haven't been able to produce either. So now it's really going to be upon Dick LeBeau down the stretch. Start dialing up some of the stuff you used to dial up when Kevin Green and those guys were like terrorizing us at the Browns way back in the Stone Ages where they were just killing our quarterbacks. Because that's you're right. In the AFC, you're going to play some heavyweights here if they're able to get into the playoffs and win this division that can put it up in the air and strike you with plus 20-yard plays. And right now, that is their Achilles heel.
Yeah, right now, so we're looking at this division in a 3-way tie. The Titans travel to Cleveland. The Jags are at the Colts, and the Texans have the bye. For more on the Indianapolis Colts and their quarterback decision, let's go back to insider extraordinaire Adam Schefter. Adam, Brissett actually played pretty well last night, but obviously Colt fans would like to have Andrew Luck back sooner rather than later. It looks like it's not going to be this week against the Jags. So what's the latest timetable for him?
Trey, I think the following week Cincinnati has a chance. But again, we've heard this before with Andrew Luck all season long, and it has been one big wait for his services all year long. And again, when he started the season on the active roster there, everybody thought by week 6 we'd see him. And we haven't. And we're not going to see him in week 7 in all probability also. But again, I think there's some quiet, cautious optimism that the following week could be in play, depending on how he looks in practice. But the one thing that has been consistent here is that the Colts refuse to rush him along. They're not going to put him out there before they and he feel that he's ready, and they want to make sure that he's right before they put him out there. Look, he's played with a lot of shoulder pain the last couple of years. He's been out there at times when perhaps he shouldn't have been. They're not going to make that mistake again, knowing how valuable he is to the long-term future of that franchise.
You're exactly right. And as Herm Edwards said, when he had the same situation with Chad Pennington when he was the head coach of the Jets, this is a year. It's really a full year until he gets back to being 100%. All right, Adam, thanks very much. We'll see what happens going forward with the Colts quarterback situation. So here's what the Packers are losing with Aaron Rodgers out with that broken collarbone. Simply put, the best touchdown-interception ratio in NFL history. Tom Brady's second all-time, and he could throw 167 consecutive touchdowns without a pick and still trail Aaron Rodgers on this list. And with Aaron out, FPI doesn't like the Packers' chances. They have a 52% chance to win the NFC North with Rodgers starting, but that goes down to 25% with him out the rest of the way. So will he be out the rest of the way? For more on that, we go back to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Adam, we know surgery is in Aaron's future. What are we talking about when we look at this surgery?
Well, they're trying to figure out the doctors now where and when he's going to have the surgery, Trey, but they have not given up hope that at some point later in the year he could be back. Now, a lot will be dependent, of course, on how the Packers play without him, because if they can keep alive their playoff hopes, then maybe later on, at the end of the season, Aaron Rodgers could be healthy enough to rejoin them, depending on how that recovery goes. Remember the last time that he hurt the collarbone, the left collarbone, as opposed to the right one this time? It was 2013. He missed 7 games. He rejoined the team for the regular season finale against Chicago, in which they clinched a playoff spot. Surgery this time could expedite the healing process. And again, they don't want to pin their hopes to that, and nobody knows for sure, but they have not given up the idea that at some point later this season, right at the end, that maybe Aaron Rodgers could be able to play.
All right, Adam, thanks very much. And again, the big difference from last time, as Adam alluded to it, left non-throwing collarbone as opposed to the right collarbone, which is what he uses to throw, but the surgery could expedite that. We talked about this a little on Monday, but I want to get back into it again because Mike McCarthy alluded to the idea that maybe Anthony Barr took it one step too far in driving Aaron Rodgers to the ground. All three of you have had time to sort of disseminate and sort of go through that play and look at it again and again. Do you see anything there that was, if not illegal, too far?
No, listen, as somebody that understands how vulnerable quarterbacks are when they're standing there and they're getting hit by someone like these guys or even bigger guys, I don't have any issue at all with this hit. And I think that Mike McCarthy should be careful because just watch Clay Matthews for an entire season. There's nothing dirty about Anthony Barr's hit.
Yeah, I think obviously the problem is he lost Aaron Rodgers, and he's upset because Aaron Rodgers is one of the best football players in the world, and he is what makes their team go. And so I get those things, but if Aaron Rodgers pops up there, this is a hit we aren't talking about. Nobody's asking, did he drive him into the ground? Did he put his weight on him? Did he take too many steps? These aren't questions that we're posing, and so for me, it's more about the result than the actual play.
Yeah, times are a lot different now in the NFL. That every time someone gets hurt or every time someone doesn't get up right away from a hard hit, there's a debate about, was that too much? Was that too far? Are you now unnecessarily imposing your will physically on football players? And it's interesting how the game over the past 15 years has gone from one where inherently, it's a game that physicality is championed and it is coached because it is a physical game. And imposing your will is something some of the greatest coaches of this game have taught from the very beginning. And now when a hard hit, a hard clean hit is made on a player, on a marquee player, obviously here, and he gets hurt, now it's a debate about whether or not, well, was that too far? Well, those lines are becoming very blurred now as far as what is too far and what is clean. And I'm very concerned about how defensive football is going to be affected here in the future. Because right now you cannot hit players hard anymore in the NFL. It doesn't even matter if it's clean anymore. It doesn't matter. If you hit a guy too hard, he lays on the ground, and it looks vicious to the eye. And the optics are such that it looks like that looks like unnecessary roughness. The flags are coming out, and we're having debates about it to the point where.
To be fair, that's what the officials are told to do.
You're right. You're right. But the point being, how the game is played now. I mean, what is this going to do to the game as we keep moving the bar further and further in the name of player safety? What's going to happen is defensive football is going to be very, very much so affected in a negative way, and maybe that's what people want. Maybe because of the advent of fantasy football and statistical tracking of catches and touchdowns and all. Hey,
but
that's what people want. But this is becoming a little bit of a problem.
This started to happen when I was still playing, especially after, the physicality we played with in Pittsburgh. There were many times where you'd hit a guy over the middle or there was a guy on a crosser and the flag would come out and you would ask, what did I do? And I had a referee told me something, it just didn't look right. Yeah. When a hit is vicious and when it's
Who was
violent.
your hit on in the AFC Championship game?
Willis McGahee.
Willis McGahee.
It was on Willis McGahee. And at that time, that play was legal.
Right.
Like, you do that now, you're probably going to be out for 4 games with fines and with suspensions. And so things are getting to the point where players are going to have to adapt. But if you're Mike McCarthy, you also have to remember you have a defense.
Yeah. Right.
And those guys need to be able to play.
Look, at the end of the day, I find it almost impossible to believe they won't review this play in the offseason, because what happened in 2008 with Tom Brady?
You see those hits every week.
I know.
In every game, though.
But it's different. Whether it's right or wrong, it's different because it's Aaron Rodgers. It's different.
And listen, the league wants those guys to be healthy.
Exactly right. Right now, Aaron Rodgers, Odell Beckham, J.J. Watt, 3 stars of the league that are marketed as faces of the league, 2 are done for the year. 1, in all likelihood, could be done for the year. So anyway, we'll see what happens going forward with that. Meanwhile, the Packers have to go forward, and they have to go forward not only with the quarterbacks they have, but maybe add a quarterback, because they only have 2 on their roster right now, Brett Hundley and Joe Callahan. And Mike McCarthy was asked about the idea of perchance signing one Colin Kaepernick. Here's his answer.
I got 3 years invested in Brett Hundley. I have great confidence in Brett Hundley. I got 2 years invested in Joe Callahan. It's a quarterback room that has structure, and there's a philosophy behind the development of it, and it will be applied to the game plan. So I feel great about the room. That's not really a concern of mine. I'm more focused on getting back to playing Green Bay Packer football, because yesterday was not anything where we needed to be.
Like that injury, would you entertain the idea of bringing Colin Kaepernick in to compete for that backup job?
Did you just listen to that question I just answered?
Just to bring it in?
Okay, I got 3 years invested in Brett Hundley, 2 years invested in Joe Callahan. The quarterback room is exactly where it needs to be, okay? We're fortunate to have a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. We're committed to the path that we're on. We need to play better as a football team. And Brett Hundley, he'll be starting this week, and Joe Callahan will be the backup.
But they will sign a quarterback at some point. Now, I just want to get your reaction to the way he reacted to the question. Tim, let's start with you.
Well, listen, I think he reacted that way because he felt like he answered the question prior to being asked the question. I think the other thing people have to remember, too, when a coach is up talking to the media, he's not just answering their question.
Yeah.
He's talking to the team. I will never forget when Donovan McNabb got hurt in Philadelphia, and there were rumors that Troy Aikman was going to become a Philadelphia Eagle. And Andy Reid talked about how there's no need to do that. And then he went up to Coy Detmer afterwards and said, listen, you're not here to hang out with Donovan McNabb. You're here because if he gets hurt, we need you to play like a starter, and we're going to play well around you. That's what Mike McCarthy is doing. He's saying, guess what? I have great confidence in this quarterback room. I have 3 years invested in this guy. Everybody else needs to play better, and we're going to go play with this quarterback that we think is good.
Yeah, the first time he answered it, I absolutely agree. He was talking to his team. He was saying what he believed about his quarterback room. He was saying what he believed about his philosophy. He believes he's had quarterbacks, and he had the opportunity to groom these quarterbacks, and that they're ready to play and carry this team. He was obviously agitated, perturbed, and a little indignant,
irate
in his answer to the question. And I agree. He asked a question that had already been answered. Even though it wasn't, are you going to bring Colin Kaepernick in? That wasn't the question. In his answer previously, he had let you know that they were going to stand pat with where they were. But you can believe 100% he was upset because of the quarterback they were asking about. Not that it was just, hey, you're asking a question that I've already answered. Because we've watched these things before. People ask the same question in many different forms. He was upset because of the quarterback he was asked about, but he had to know that he'd be asked about it. And if we're going to hold people to certain standards in press conferences, in the way that they address the media because of things they might say or things they might find funny at some times, we have to hold everyone accountable. The way he addressed that reporter was not right. He didn't deserve to be answered in that way. And I believe the reason he was answered in that way was because he asked about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, I think he could have handled it better. There's no question about that. You know, and you're right, Ryan, I agree with you. As soon as he heard Colin Kaepernick's name, he's probably thinking, here we go again.
Listen, I don't know that it's fair. I mean, he could have been asked about Tony Romo. He could have had the same reaction.
Maybe he did, but he wasn't asked about them. He was asked about Colin. And I think Colin elicits a certain reaction out of people because of how long this situation has been going on. I will say this, though. In Mike McCarthy's defense, every time a quarterback gets hurt doesn't mean that Colin Kaepernick's name has to be brought up instantly just like that.
Absolutely. Does it make sense in this situation?
Exactly, it doesn't. And so
I'm asking you, does it? Does it make sense to bring his name up in this situation?
I think, okay, look, if you are really organically asking whether or not you think Colin Kaepernick could help you out in this situation, if that's what the reporter's intent was, then yeah, go ahead and ask it. And then Mike, it's incumbent upon Mike to be professional and just say, no, he doesn't help us. We're going with Brett Hundley. I trust him. I believe in my system, period. Yeah, but you know what? I don't really know what the reporter's intent was at the time, and I think we'd be naive to think that everyone who's asking those questions is asking it from a really pure place, meaning I'm just asking you a football question. You know, there's some people who just want to throw it out there to get a response and see how you'll handle it and just keep that conversation going. That it really has nothing to do with football and what really helps the Green Bay Packers. I'm not speaking for the reporter, but I'm sure, again, if you're trying to flip-flop back and forth between what is Mike thinking and what's the reporter thinking, I guarantee you Mike in the back of his mind is going, I knew somebody was going to ask that, and I'm already ticked off about the fact that I lost my Hall of Fame quarterback.
And you
now
just
you're
answered
going
the question.
That's right, and now you're going down this road.
And
so
listen,
it's one of those situations where everybody could have
I in no way, and then we talked about this before, Trey, when the Tennessee Titans brought in Brandon Whedon. Yeah. I in no way think Colin Kaepernick is the answer for every quarterback situation. I don't think he needs to be brought up in every quarterback situation because he doesn't fit everywhere. I don't think that the question should be asked in every press conference, but it will be. And I can't speak to Mike McCarthy's intentions. And when I say because he was asked about Colin Kaepernick, I don't say it in a way that brings up race. I mean, shoot, Brett Hundley is going to be the quarterback. Yeah. I don't say it in a way that makes it seem like has any negative feeling about him. I do know it probably gets annoying to hear it constantly, but what I'm saying is I believe that name elicited that type of response.
Yeah, listen,
he's certainly a flashpoint. There's no question.
Sure.
But you look at the track record of guys that the tree that Mike McCarthy falls under, or even Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy has played backup quarterbacks in the past, whether it's been Seneca Wallace or Matt Flynn or Scott Tolzien or whoever it's been. He's played backups there, and that's what a lot of people believe in. And by the way, the reason Brett Hundley is there is because Brett Hundley might be the next Aaron Brooks, the next Mark Brunell, the next Matt Hasselbeck, as devastated as they are about Aaron.
Sure.
They actually have a guy that's a really talented quarterback.
That they might like.
That they maybe are excited. Hey, guess what? Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and then there was value there for the Patriots.
Right.
The same thing could happen to Green Bay.
And we'll see what happens this week with Green Bay when they go back to Lambeau this Sunday to take on the New Orleans Saints in the first game this season.